some amount and you quit raiding us and destroying our cities. So they came up with a deal. They struck a deal. Liao, the Khitan people, took over a very, very small part of what is today China, namely around Beijing. Beijing is as south as they went, actually. And they promised that they wouldn't raid anymore. And they got paid 100,000 strings of silver and 100,000 bolts of silver. But a few years later, the Khitan said, wait a minute, that doesn't, they seem to be doing fine down in Song Dynasty China. So they upped it. They said, we're going to double it. You need to give us 200,000 strings of silver and 200,000 bolts. But what we can see from their ceramics is they had a great tradition, a great visual tradition. They went from being nomadic to building cities, and they built their cities very much in a Chinese style. And these pieces over here, these flasks, this is the most characteristic shape for the Liao dynasty. So these are people who lived on horseback, and they would carry their beverages in these leather or felt pouches. Large collection of serious Ming Dynasty boomerang. I want to draw your attention to these three pieces. These are from the Yuan Dynasty, which precedes the Ming. So these are even more rare. They're earlier and they're very beautiful than the Ming boomerangs. Yuan is 1279 to 1368. In this piece, which is, we don't have this information on the label, so you can hear very well to the thing. There are cobalt deposits. There's no cobalt in China, so there's no indigenous blue or blue or white. And it's also during the Ming when we get the practice of having an inscription, an imperial inscription, which gives the date, the reign period. So it says, Boeing Company in the Great Ming Dynasty during the Shuangde period is when it was made. Really distinguish true genuine faces. You can't take this. There's no scientific analysis possible. The Martin period, this means that these were made in imperial kilns. These kilns were in Jiangxi province in Jingdezhen, southeastern China. And the emperor would have a supervisor at the kiln, basically like a factory. And this supervisor would represent the emperor. They would smash everything that wasn't absolutely made and had flawless, absolutely perfect. That's why these are so rare. These have to be perfect. Okay, if they weren't perfect, they would have been smashed hundreds of years ago. And they are among the most valuable things in the museum.
Why are they in storage?
We don't have room to display them, and we rotate our pieces. This is one of the pieces that if you come back in a couple of months, you'll see this piece on view. We're getting it prepared and ready for going on view. It's from Korea. Let me check the date. I think it's 13th century. 700, 800, really fine piece, and looking forward to getting it out and on view. Let's see if I can show you another sample. Makes me nervous to handle.
Yeah.
I've been doing it a while. Treat. This is Ming Dynasty, probably 16th century, Chinese. And this is a tripod. Okay? It's based on one of those archaic tripods, one of those bronzes that I showed you. Those were held in high regard by scholars throughout Chinese history. And they would make ceramics to replicate and almost pay homage to these bronze forms. So this is fa hua, which means imitation painted. A very elegant translation. And it's neat to see this stoneware. You can get an idea of how the pieces are made. And when it comes to authenticating pieces, you really have to handle it. There's no way, when I look at something in the case, it's very difficult for me to